Yo, what's going on, Jets fans? Welcome on into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got some great news for you guys as a couple of key players on the Buffalo Bills roster are banged up heading into this Week 2 matchup against the New York Jets. And then also, we got some good news on rookie tight end Mason Taylor dealing with that that ankle injury, but he is back at practice, and he should be setting himself up for a big-time game this weekend against the Buffalo Bills. But before we dive into it, make sure you guys are subscribed here to the channel. We will keep you guys posted with everything you need to know around your New York Jets. And plus, we're going to be going live for the game this Sunday. We had over 43,000 people tune into our last watch party the previous week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, so it's a ton of fun. It's a great atmosphere, and you guys are fantastic interacting with all of you guys. So if you guys want to tune in then, we'll go live at about 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock Eastern time, an hour before kickoff. So if you guys want to tune in then, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also click that notification bell so you guys get notified every single time we post a video. So let's dive into the injury report here. And the big piece the Buffalo Bills could be missing in this matchup is actually defensive tackle Ed Oliver. He was wearing a walking boot and on a scooter. The boot was on his left foot, and he didn't have it yesterday, and this could be massive. So he did not participate in practice with an ankle injury. He was wearing a boot. He was on a scooter, and this is a massive loss for the Bills defense. Now, I was already making the argument earlier on this week, discussed this in my preview show. Even though the Bills are the better team than the New York Jets, they're traveling. They're going to be on the road in a hostile environment. That crowd's going to be into it. It's just a typical AFC East showdown. And the Bills were coming off a very, very emotional win. And normally when teams, no matter how great they are, when they're coming off an emotional win on primetime against, in probably the Bills' opinion, one of their biggest rivals in the NFL being the Baltimore Ravens, you come back in a heroic fashion. Sometimes when that happens, you can have a massive letdown spot the following week. You're not as engaged in practice. You're not as detail-oriented. Some mistakes can arise, and you may almost start overlooking a New York Jets team where in the past, are the Jets that fantastic? Have they been that well-run of an organization? Absolutely not. But even when the Jets were like that under the previous regime, they still always gave the Bills fits. I think they've won the last 2 or 3 games against Buffalo in MetLife Stadium. And now this year, with Aaron Glenn and how the Jets performed Week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is pretty big-time news that they'll most likely be without defensive tackle Ed Oliver. And also, this is going to be huge for the rushing attack because we have discussed how did the Jets beat the Buffalo Bills. You almost got to play some gamesmanship ball control where you don't let Josh Allen kill you. Like, Josh Allen is that good. I think he's the best football player alive right now. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. And when he gets going, there's really nothing you can do. It doesn't matter how good your defense is. It doesn't matter even if you're the 85 Bears or early 2000s Ravens. When that guy is rocking and rolling, he's tough to stop. So how do you combat that? Now, obviously, Jets got some dogs on defense. Quinnen, Sauce, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson. We know the whole story there. So those guys will have to make plays. But how do you limit Josh Allen being so impactful and so effective? You keep him off the football field. Well, how do you keep him off the football field? You run that rock. And we saw in Week 1, the Jets' rushing offense was fantastic. That offensive line, they were moving people. Armand Membu, Joe Tippmann at right guard. Josh Myers filling in there had a good game. Olu Fashanu, he looked fantastic at the left tackle position. So you got those 5 guys up front. Then you got the running backs with Breece Hall, who looked amazing this past week. One of my favorite stats when evaluating running backs is rushing yards over expected. Next-gen stats, they'll go in on every single run. They'll say, okay, on this run, the running back was supposed to get 3 yards. And then if you obviously go more than that, like say you're supposed to get 3 yards on a carry, you end up getting 5. That's +2 on rushing yards over expected. But Breece Hall, out of all running backs during Week 1, he was 4th in that category with 28 rushing yards over expected. So not only was the offensive line giving him holes, he was making plays. He was getting the most out of every carry, if not more than that. So I expect Breece Hall to have a big game, and then still don't sleep on Braylon Allen. I think we've already kind of forgotten about this guy because during the preseason, he looked like the better running back out of Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, and he was running all over people. He was running physical. He was falling forward, struggled a little bit against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but again, on his carries, I didn't think the block set up too well, but I could see Braylon having a big-time game, and then you also have Justin Fields and his dual threat ability. I could see the Jets having a very, very productive game running the football. And then if you're able to run the football, you mix all that up. It's a couple of deep shots, to Justin Fields. You got a big body tight end, rookie tight end Mason Taylor, work in the middle. You got sure-handed veterans and Josh Reynolds, Tyler Johnson. This offense for the Jets last week, big reason why they were number one in EPA per play was because of the offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand, and he loves running that football. It's all built off the run. So I'm very excited to see how this team's going to attack a Bills defense with possibly without one of their biggest players. But more good news for the Jets here. Mason Taylor, dealing with that high ankle sprain for the last couple of weeks. He was back at practice after sitting out yesterday, and I think he's sitting out a big game because kind of like Braylon Allen, kind of forgot about this guy. Wasn't too involved in the offense, only had one catch, couldn't really get going too much against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't forget about Mason Taylor and how talented he is. He is a weapon. He is a talent. Big body tight end, runs incredibly smooth routes. He is a problem. And that's why this Jets draft class, I'm telling you, we're going to look back at it and be like, man, do you remember the 2025 New York Jets draft class? Armand Membu looks like one of the best right tackles in the league. I think Mason Taylor at some point in his career is going to be a top 10 tight end. And then you're just hoping that one of like a Arian Smith, an A.Z. Thomas, a Malachi Moore, if one or two of those guys, or if not all three of those guys end up popping, the first 5 picks in that draft class could be absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking at Mason Taylor. They're having a big week here, but also some more injury news. We can just fly through the report. Josh Reynolds did not practice Thursday with a hamstring injury. Same with Jay Tufele, still dealing with that illness. But then also Michael Carter, he was dealing with a shoulder. He was limited. Sauce Gardner dealing with a groin. He was limited, but he's expected to go. Mason Taylor back limited today. And then McCrary Ball limited yesterday, Wednesday, but Thursday he was a full participant. Now more on the Bills front here. Dawson Knox, he was limited with a hip. Tyrone Johnson limited with a quad. Greg Rousseau limited with a knee. Shaq Thompson limited. Trey White still limited. So they have a lot of guys that are banged up, a lot of key players for this team. So I could potentially see this being a trap game here. I'm not going fully out here and saying like, oh, the Jets are for sure going to get a win, but I think the Jets are going to do it. I think this is going to be hey, NFL world, welcome to the Aaron Glenn Jets. Justin Fields, Pittsburgh Steelers, Chicago Bears, you guys made a mistake letting them go. I got full faith in this offense getting it done. I got full faith in just the defense making 1 or 2 plays. Like, that's what it's going to come down to in this matchup because, Josh Allen's an unstoppable force, like I was saying. But on a couple of key third downs, can Sauce Gardner have a big-time play? Can Quinnen Williams get some great pressure from the interior? Then maybe Will McDonald has a strip sack or something. The one thing that really stood out to me in that Week 1 matchup versus Steelers, and this is great news for Jets fans heading into the rest of the season, the Blue Chippers played like Blue Chippers. Like, that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day in the NFL. The guys that are making the most money on your team, are they playing up to those contracts? And then you just got to hope for some guys behind them to step up and make some plays. Unfortunately for the Jets, they did not have that with Tony Adams and Brandon Stevens still, really struggling in the secondary last week. But those other guys, are you kidding? They looked fantastic. Quinnen Williams looked amazing. Jermaine Johnson looked good coming off that torn Achilles. Will McDonald got home to the quarterback 2 times. And then even Sauce Gardner, a 90 overall PFF grade, 90 in coverage as well. He looked good. Then you mix in the offense, Garrett Wilson, getting paid a lot of money. He played like one of those top receivers in the league. Then you got Justin Fields on, people are saying they paid him too much. He's outperforming that contract. He was one of the better quarterbacks Week 1 to start the season. So I got faith in the Jets coming out of here, moving the 1-on-1 and 1-1 on the season. Then if you can do that, you got 2 games in Florida. You're 1-1. If you could somehow grab 2, beat Tampa, beat Miami, that would be awesome. But even if you split those, you're 2-2. That's a hell of a start to the season, in my opinion. And then you're realistically thinking, all right, we're 2-2. We should be 3-1 with wins versus the Steelers and the Bills. So this is a massive spot for the New York Jets, and I'm very excited to see how this team can respond because we talk about an emotional letdown spot for Buffalo. You can also make the same argument for the Jets. They were trying to win that football game. They gave it all they had. They were all in it. They lost at the end. Mental mistakes, the little things. So can they bounce back? We're going to get a really good look at who Aaron Glenn is as a coach. Can't wait for this matchup. But again, guys, we're going to be going live here on the channel 1 hour before kickoff, 12 Eastern time. So make sure you guys tune in then. Had over 43,000 people join us last week. Expecting to see a lot of the same of you guys in there. So make sure you guys are subscribed here to the channel. Appreciate all the support as of late. See you guys next time. Go Jets.